stop making beats that sound like this. I just got a DM from the biggest rapper on the planet. He asked me to send him some beats. I said, what types of beats? He said, hits, send me hits. So I blocked him. I'm just kidding. None of that happened. However, that's frustrating, right? When you ask a person what kinds of beats they're looking for, what feeling, what speed, what tempo, and they say, I just need hits. I need undeniable hits. Because what does that even mean? I swear to God, because there are a lot of beats that on their own don't sound that impressive, but those songs still become hits. And then there are some of the most amazing beats, at least in my opinion, that are just undeniably great, but they don't become hits. So it gets complicated, it gets frustrating. And someone who knows all about hits and hit beats and how to select hit beats, Neyo, recently spoke about what types of beats producers should not be making. He said, do not make popular sounding beats. That kind of puts us as producers, sorry, beat makers, in a damn near impossible situation. It's frustrating. Let's just watch the clip. I'll tell you what I mean.
Actually, I'm not getting caught up in this. You guys are trapping me in the rage bait. Hold on.
There's 1 trillion songs released every single day. So what is it about what you're doing that's really making an impact? Like, I think that's the mindset of any artist, any songwriter, any producer in the game right now. Cut through. Stop making the popular beat. Okay, it's 17 songs over that beat already. You're not going to be number 18. That's just not, it's not going to happen.
I really just want to isolate that part because, you know,
right?
It's absolutely hyperbole. There aren't a million songs to the same beat. I think what he's saying is the same sounding beat, the same style. And a lot of people are going to rush towards the whole anti-rap, anti-modern rap narrative, like, yeah, everybody trap beat sounds the same. And it's like, yeah, all right, Grandpa. But I was listening to a bunch of pop because I have to do a very specific event coming up. And that's all a very similar, it's all just kind of new disco. It has a very similar sound, very similar arrangement, very similar instrumentation. It's been this way for a long time. You know, you listen to a Taylor Swift song versus Sabrina Carpenter song versus a Benson Boone song versus, you know, all the top pop artists from right now. And a lot of their lead singles are of a similar tempo, a similar style, a similar genre. So this is what my issue with what he's saying is, because what happens is, say a producer makes a whole new sound, right? Nobody believes in it because it's unfamiliar and it's weird. People, you know, some people might like it just because they're contrarians or because they genuinely like it. Then some new rapper blows up off of that weird producer's beats. So, for example, the Baby and Jetson, right? Because there were people that hated Jetson's beats. I don't know why, but they didn't like the way they sounded even after the Baby blew up because they were different. They weren't so different that it sounded like an entirely separate genre, but they were different enough. And I didn't hear producers rush to duplicate his sound because it was so unique and it feels like he still owns that sound. But then what happens? Now we accept that sound and you're going to have people at the labels and artists and managers saying, oh, make something like that. Make something like that. Come on, try to make something like that. And then we do that. And then what happens? Another weird producer with a weird sound comes in. And then that sound takes off. And then the artists and the labels and everybody suddenly hits reset in their head. And they're like, all right, chase that sound. Give us something like this. Because time and time again, producers are told to send beats that are hits. But the vast majority of people can only determine if a beat is a hit if it sounds like something that's already previously been successful. They don't hear something brand new and say, oh, that sounds like a hit. It's just going to take a long time because people don't want to invest that time in something that they can't already identify as hit material. But you hear something that sounds like a song that's currently on the radio as a hit, and you're like, oh, this feels like a hit. It sounds like a hit. Why? Because there's that familiarity. So it puts us as producers in a terrible spot. Either we experiment or we stay true to our sound, which may not sound like what's popular, and we likely get rejected, or we chase the popular sound for the rest of our careers, and then we get caught up in that cycle that very few of us make it out of. Because producers with unique sounds need people to believe in them. That's how the music business today especially runs on trends. Everybody's chasing what's hot. So where does that leave us as producers? Based on Neyo's advice, apply that to the current music industry, even the previous music industry. I think people like Neyo have exceptional talent, and so they can do a lot with what they're trying to create and what their vision is. So everyone can't be Neyo.
I guess I'm a little I don't even know what I'm giving my feedback on right now. Like, I agree. Like, I agree with him. Like, I don't, like on that clip, yeah, a lot of music comes out. But when people talk about a whole new sound, I think that they think it's like there's not that many new, like the new sounds are, to me, it's oftentimes it's subtle. It's not like hella Timbalands, like when Timbaland came out, like to me, that was a new sound, right? But then the other new sounds, it's not to me that much different. It's just like a slight play off of something that, existed before. Who, after Timbaland, like who do you guys think brought like a new sound like Timbaland's new sound?
I think like what Payne is saying, like with like Jetson, I like as soon as you said him, I was like doom 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 doom. I'm just hearing like he had almost like Barney sounding drums, like the bounce of it. I'm not saying that he like seemed like Payne that he was like the most unique, not in a disrespectful way, but do you know what I'm saying? It was almost like goofy sounding, but then
some of it was goofy, yeah.
Yeah, but then when the baby got on it, it was like, oh, these things work really well together. And then you started liking Jetson's sound. I think about even DJ Mustard. DJ Mustard had such a unique sound to me when he came out, but it worked because I was really in a dance music phase of my life at that point. So because of the way that he did his low end and then his high parts, it just sounded so unique. I think there's a lot of examples, to be honest, like especially if you get into like more niche genre stuff, but I don't think it's that it's a lack of newness. I think it's a lack of context. Like people need to be introduced to stuff in the right context. Like I was working with a producer who had a pretty unique sound when I was managing rappers for a while. And what would happen is he would get brought into sessions to add additional things to existing beats, or they would bring him in and be like, let's hear your beats. And then they would co-produce with him. So I think like going back to what you were saying, Payne, the space for really unique people is collaboration. Like I think that a lot of those unique sounds need to be introduced with something that is somewhat familiar. Even like in the context of this, I'm from the Bay. I don't like this song because I don't like hyphy music, right? But I think it's going to be foreign to people, and it has a really good hook, which is why I think it's going to work out, because I think a lot of times, like Payne says, people need something that's familiar. Or like I was watching this Nile Rodgers interview recently, or like this week, and he was talking about Freak Out and how that song came about. And he said as they were playing it, they were like, this is a life-changing song. And the story behind it is so amazing. But they knew, and there was nothing in the word. I guess it was like somewhat in the disco vibe, but like as you're hearing this song, the reason that it works so well is because there's so many earworms outside of the hook. There's the bass line. There's like that guitar riff that's so succinct. There's there's so many things to build on. So even if you don't like Freak Out, doom doom, it's like immediately there's another part of the song that you gravitate towards. So I think like the chemistry of a really good song isn't solely based on the beat being either super familiar or super unique. I think that I respect what Neyo is saying, but I don't necessarily agree, because I do think that there's a level of familiarity that people want. I think what he's saying is that there's not a lot of exceptionality. I think that you can do something that's familiar and be exceptional at it, and people will love it. I think about Bruno Mars. I got tired of Bruno Mars because it became very redundant for me. But Kevin on Stage just had a video about it, and he was like, I like Bruno Mars because I know what I'm getting from him. And he's exceptional at being consistent with that. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it's about preference for sure. But I also think when you're somebody like Neyo and you're looking for what's next and what's new, you get tired of like mediocrity. But I also know that he's somebody who said he doesn't hear anything new and fresh in the world. So I disagree with that because I feel like there's so much new and fresh stuff. He just may not have the context for it or the ears or even the introduction to it. But that's my 52 cents on that.
Yeah, I mean, I default to you guys when it comes to, you know, production. You guys know way more producers than me. You guys know way more about, you know, song structure and more specifics about making beats. I do know that there is a lot of repetitiveness, and I do know a lot of people are making songs with the exact same beat with beat leasing. So, you know, I'm assuming that it's both contexts. It's what Payne is talking about, like how he interpreted it, people just using a lot of the same sounds, not being that creative. But then it is actually people using the exact same beat as well. So, I mean, I encourage people to be different. I like Rex Life Raj just released like a 2-pack of 2 different songs using the same beat, which was kind of dope. It was kind of like his 2 different approaches to, but I think he produces a lot of his own stuff too. And it was a pretty unique beat. And hearing both songs back to back it was just kind of a dope approach to take. I like that he did that. I would always encourage people to think outside the box, and you do have to do something a little different these days to stand out, because there is a lot of music. Now we have AI. It just 10x'd the amount of music that comes out daily. So,
well, and AI is a homogenizing force too, because it draws on what's existing in its catalog. So, yeah, I think when I hear stuff like the statement that we talked about, where who was it? It was, he's the head of the Grammy committee. He was saying that in all the top pop sessions they're using AI. I'm like, yeah, I guess that doesn't surprise me, because a lot of it is formulaic, in the sense that people, you have to, in the pop world, no one's experimenting in the pop world, really. I mean, every now and then, like I said, something experimental will break through, and then the pop world absorbs it once it becomes big enough, and then it's no longer experimental. Now it's pop. So that's just how that works, and that's how AI works, minus paying people and equity and all that.
I guess I'm also confused of why like Neyo brings this up now. I feel like it was happening even back then. Like in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, a lot of the A&Rs were looking for the next version of like a 50, the next version of like a Nelly. And I think we definitely had more variety back then, but I think if the tech had existed back then, I think you would have basically got to the same point quicker. But the A&R folks were always looking at, oh, that's working, let's get our version of that. They were always doing that.
Yeah, and they're doing that with producers, and people got to understand they are doing that with producers. And you hear all these people talking about, oh, producers are always just using the same sounds and this and that. And it's like, you don't know what we have on our hard drives. You hear what you hear, but some stuff just doesn't work.
I would encourage artists and producers to have a sound, though. Like,
oh yeah. But what does that mean? That's way easier said than done.
I get it, but like, there's just a pocket that like Bruno Mars was a good example, and I think it evolves and changes over time, and that's that separates artists that are able to last over a long period of time versus I think if you just stay what you are like forever, it's going to be very difficult. I think the only artist that I know that kind of makes the same music for, probably 20 plus years is like LL Cool J. I feel like he's been like, you kind of know what you're getting with LL. I mean, he's used different beats and stuff, but a lot of it is, I mean, he's just been LL.
His flow is going to be at the exact same cadence. And his ad-libs are going to be placed in the same spot for sure.
And he's a legend. I mean, and but I can't think of too many artists like they've kind of been doing a lot of the same stuff, and you still know what they're doing.
Yeah, a lot of people evolve slowly, like the Rihannas.
Yeah, is Rihanna?
I feel like Rihanna's every album was different from me. Like there was like on her Caribbean side, there was always like a Caribbean joint, but I feel like all of her, because I feel like she had a very like pop realm. that she existed in, and then she went R&B-ish. Then she went a little bit more Caribbean, and then she went alternative. And her last album is still, to me, probably my favorite album by her. But
Rihanna still makes music? I thought she's just
no. It's been I think we're coming up on 10 or 12 years since she's had a new project out.
Damn, it's been that long. She just
but listen, I'm still listening to Rihanna. I love her. She's my goat. I love Rihanna. Yeah, her last album is amazing. I may listen to it today.
10 years.
I'm not making any more music for you peasants. I'm over here chilling.
I mean, she featured on a song with Party, which I love. She did that probably 5 years ago. But it's like Lauryn Hill, my favorite artist stopped making music. I've resigned to that. Andre 3000, Lauryn Hill, and Rihanna are my top 5 of all time. And it's just my favorites just stopped making music. And I'm just okay with that. If that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do. You are the greatest.